Hi there, beautiful souls. Welcome and thank you for watching. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I like to share some of my otherworldly experiences and insights. So this is about mankind's three big questions. Of course, there are some more than only three, but I picked the three most important one, which also many ancient traditions cared about, like I was with the Rosicrucians, a white brotherhood, and they emphasized these three questions very often and very much to ponder upon. So they are: who are we? Where do we come from? And where do we go to? Well, following Hermetic law, as above, so below, which can be changed because the universe outside is just a mirror of the universe inside. You can change that into as within, so without, or as in great and big, so in small. Let's make it more personal and change these three questions into: who am I? Where do I come from? And where do I go to? So, this who am I, we're so entrained to say what we learned to say and not really pondering deeper or seeking inside of ourselves who we really are. As along my long journey of seeking truth, I ran to a lot of workshops and seminars and groups and so on. And there was always kind of this opening round where everybody said his name and who he thought or she thought she is. So I sold myself then as Gabby, not even using my full name Gabrielle, because at that point of time I wasn't there yet. I could not really fully embody the Gabrielle, and it sounded too old-fashioned and a bit deep to me, profound, so that I shied away, and it was much easier and shorter and seemed more practical to call myself Gabby. And then I said my profession and something else, and most people did the same, as if this is what we are. This is just such a tiny, tiny slice that's even kind of entrained to say in the beginning. If you meet something, you say your name, your profession, and that's it. And well, through the course of time, I noticed that there were coming up some changes, but they were not always for the better. Some people started then in this opening round in a group saying, I'm a spiritual person. Well, what do you tell the others by that? You think of yourself that you are a spiritual person, but that does not have to be true. I even once met a person who, right at the beginning, and she seemed kind of eager to get rid of that, told the whole group, I'm a walk-in soul. And I got this notion, as if she wanted to separate herself from the group and tell all of them, I am more than you, I am better, I'm a walk-in soul. Well, and her behavior during the whole group just proved my first impression right. She was thinking she was better or something else than all the others. And sorry, don't like that. We're all the same. We're all made from stardust, from the stuff that's in the universe outside the macro verse. So I don't like these kind of statements, and unfortunately, very often my impressions proved right, because the behavior of the people showed exactly their state of consciousness and their state of life, which is or equals the state of vibration and frequency they carry. So, who am I? Ask yourself that. Who are you really? You are so much more. I could tell you now that kind of definition from all the spiritual traditions, but it will be shallow letter or book or head knowledge, missing the experience. So if I tell you now, you are a created soul, created by Source, incarnated into a three-dimensional bodily vessel to have physical experience as a human in this world on earth. Well, sounds all good and nice and is true, but can you relate to that? Only if you have an experience of being something more than, just this name, this body, your profession, and whatever you identify with, then it just lacks kind of real, true, alive energy of embodiment. So the question, who am I, is a long story, and I'm still busy with that because, as Yeshua already said, you have to be ready and able and willing to leave the truth from today for the truth of tomorrow. Because nothing ever stands still. Energy is always in motion, and as we are energy beings of light, that's why we have a soul that's incarnated in this vessel, and by that, Source itself is having the experience, because just imagine, try to imagine for a second, you are Source. You are all that is in everything and all and everyone that is. You are a consciousness of love and light. So how could you create something? Because creation needs a second part. That's why we have the mirror principle in the universe. So Source could only create sitting there, having everything, being everything. So why even move a finger, It wanted experience. It wanted something more, something else, something different. So it could only split itself in the mind within, into all the millions of beings, into every blade of grass, every bird, you and me and everyone else, and by that having an experience, because this world kind of, although it's an illusion and more a holographic matrix, like the holosuites in Star Trek, where you can go in and have an experience that feels real. This all in the world feels effing real, If I touch with my fingers now the table, well, it feels dense and real. And it blew my mind, and still sometimes does, to imagine that it is not. Like physics can tell you. Go into the atom level, then there is a lot of space full of nothing and some electrons and so on. So the table is not as dense as we thought. But back to who are you? Well, you are kind of still a thought in the mind of God or Source. We never left. We are a figure in the dream of God's mind. And we think it's so effing real what we do, what we think, everything we experience. Well, it's about the experience because, kind of in a just spirit state, you don't have the experience of touch and feel that makes it seemingly real for us. Here we go. There's the clock chiming again. Thank you, Spirit World. So, trying not to digress, which is difficult for me. That's why I love Q&A. With questions, I have to focus onto a special topic. And without that, my mind is kind of everywhere. So, who are you? Ask yourself this again and again, and discover that you are so much more. That you, if you get back some of your other lives' memories, you have been this and that. I got a lot of memories back. I know that I was a Knights Templar. I know that I was with the Cathars when they were persecuted by the Roman Catholic Church in France. I know that I incarnated in Egypt. There's a strong connection to Egypt. I wasn't only the one in the harem that was poisoned by 2 other women that turned out in this life to be my mother and one of my sisters. I've also been a scribe in Egypt, and this was much more than just writing hieroglyphs down. As a scribe, you needed to be more like a polymath. You needed to know about proportion, about painting, about symbols and depicting them in clay tablets or on stone. You also needed to know about architecture and so much more about astrology, mathematics and music and stuff like that. So now, in this special moment in time where we are, a lot of polymaths are coming back. Robert Edward Grant is one of them. He's more into the math and astrology section. And I'm, as I also was a Sufi in one incarnation, and I really love the Sufi, I have more of an Oriental soul. That's why I jump from here to there and I make jokes and stuff like that. And I'm kind of with the moon, my moon in the horoscope, being in Aquarius, I'm a rebellious spirit. I don't like the systematic step after step programs and categorizing spiritual wisdom into nice packages, and then you buy this workshop and then the following one, and after that you're enlightened. No, you are not. It's not working like that. I found out by having this kind of oriental soul of an artist that I have so many gifts and talents and traits, and to reduce right in the beginning just onto one thing makes me feel like I'm missing out on all the other stuff. And with old age, music came up. While when I was younger, I had no idea, couldn't even read the notes, and but I hang around with musicians a lot, and I love their free jam sessions. That's why when I tried in old age to start learning some instruments, I kind of hated it to be chased through all the classical systematic teaching method that exists around music. So I had to play for 1 year or so Mozart on my traverse flute, which I didn't like. I wanted to freely improvise. Okay, So now I can, because at least I learned some basics in music, and I'm much more about the freestyle, what shows up in front of you. That's exactly what's up right now. And not following any chart or system. Now you have to go through this and ponder about that. If you don't like it, well, then go to all the other channels that offer you systematic teaching, and hopefully you will find what you need. But I think I'm here to do it my way. That's why I love that Frank Sinatra line, I do it my way. So here we go. This is my way. It's unusual, and it's jumping around, and I always wait for the inspiration to make a video, not like all the marketing guys would tell you, oh, you have to make a video every day, you have to write a book, you have to do this and that. No, I don't have to. Without inspiration, I do not make a video. And to me, that's kind of a build up of energy. Suddenly, my mind is only full of one topic, and it does not go away until I make a video. And I also feel the energy, the build up, kind of my heart starts pounding, and I feel electricized, and all my cells are vibrating. So then I know, okay, it's time for a new video. And whether it's 5 days after the last one, or just 1 day, or 3 days, I don't care. This is all outer stuff. This is the regulating, ego mind loves that. It wants everything packed neatly into boxes and put a label upon, and this is this and this is that. So that's kind of the order the ego mind likes. And there is a very wonderful, I love it, and true saying about ego. It says, ego is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master, because it knows not how to master. It thinks that that kind of order and regularizing everything, that this is the only order there is. But it is not. Divine order does not follow these rules. Divine order is different, also from hierarchy. But here on earth, everything is built in hierarchy, and you admire the higher ups, or even me. Please stop that. I am a human just like you. Maybe I started a little bit earlier to search for answers and seek truth, but I'm not different from you, and everyone is capable of mediumship, of using the psychic senses. It's just an untrained muscle, because our society is all about ego, all about categorizing, and this kind of false order. So, who are you? You probably had more incarnations than just this one, and in some of your dreams, glimpses of that might show up, or in meditation, or in which way, shape, or form, however. My mediumship trainment really opened the door for me, because I was longing for knowledge and wisdom, and to understand more about what it's all about. Who am I? Who am I really? Well, at the moment, I am this Gabrielle sitting in front of a screen and talking to you, but I know I am more, because I had experiences, and I got some memories back from other lifetimes. Also, one in Rapa Nui, the Easter Island, one in Turkey and Persia, and many in India. So I know that I am more than just what you see right here and now. And about Where do we come from? Well, where do I come from? Where do you come from? I remember a funny conversation I had in the 80s when I was in India, in the hippie paradise Goa, where everybody was smoking cannabis. I hang around with some other backpackers traveling through India, and there were these two British guys. And the one guy once told a story, very interesting. He said in his dreams he always saw a woman that looked to him kind of Turkish, and she was doing belly dancing. And these dreams continued and continued, and after a while, he even got the town and the address in the place where she was doing the belly dance. And then finally, he bought himself a ticket, went to Turkey, met this woman that he dreamt of, and she was a belly dancer in some Turkish establishment or établissement, I don't know how to, some place in Turkey where there was open belly dance to view. And this woman, because he fell in love with her and she with him, became his wife and he married her. So when I once, kind of in a funny mood, asked him the question, "Where do you come from?" he immediately started, "I come from my mother." And that was all. I come from my mom and dad. So if you follow only this limited line of where you come from, you don't get very far. Maybe you land in the end in the paradise. We all come from Adam and Eve, so to speak, as the Bible wants to make us believe. And the funny thing about paradise or Eden is that we are made to believe there was only one Eden. No, it was not. That was just the term the cedar races and elder star brothers and sisters used to kind of call their experiments with human genetics. And there were many Edens, some on spaceships, and some here down on earth in faraway places, so that the different kind of experiments did not interbred with each other and by that maybe spoiled the experiment. That's why we had so many different humanoids in the ancestry tree of humanity, like Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Homo erectus, and so on. And not all of them made it. And the Anunnaki, who also tinkered with our DNA in an Eden, they had an enclosed kind of garden environment created for their creations. They surely abused it because they were split into two factions, the Enki and the Enlil faction. And Enlil was the one who only wanted humanity, humans, as workers for labor. And Enki was more with compassion. He even realized that when he tinkered with the humanoid DNA, wow, there is already something in there. We are, same as George Kavasilis, who is working closer now with Dr. Michael Seller and had some really great interviews where he spilled the beans and shared his knowledge. He said the same. We are a fully divine fractal, and that's why all these abductions from negative factions like Greys and reptilians, the Dracos, are after us, after human DNA or our soul to split and abuse to put into kind of a robot or a drone, or put a split part of our soul or consciousness into a created being. That's why they were all, and still are all, after human DNA, because as a fully fractal, we have the whole potential. And they're all after creating an avatar which they can use, the most perfect avatar body vessel to use to incarnate into. So we don't only come from the genetics of our mom and dad or Adam and Eve. There's so much more, and this is kind of a never-ending question. Where do you come from? To make it short, but lacking, of course, the experience, and then it's only shallow words, we all come from Source, the one infinite creator source with it, which is love and light. And we're having our soul journey through different star systems, galaxies, and densities and dimension, learning the lessons of first dimension, second, third, and so on, and developing and evolving and developing. So, and in the end, of course, we will go back home. We will go back to Source. That's where we are heading to. And we're just kind of underway in this special state where we are in right now. And it's a special time because everything happens in cycles. There's not only winter, summer, spring, and autumn. The ancients always built these monuments to watch the stars, because the movement and cycles of the orbits of the planets around also told them more or less where they are in the big scheme or scale. That's why the Hindu calendar and the Mayan calendar has this, these ages, and we think now we're entering the age of Aquarius, and according to Hindu calendar, we're heading towards Golden Age. And that is not the first time. There is nothing new under the sun. You have no idea how often the wheel and the hammer were invented during this seemingly endless journey, because all the galaxies are kind of circling around the central sun, and they go kind of up and down like the wave motion of energy. And we go through the golden age, then kind of through the darkest point, which is opposite to the golden age. In the circle, we go through the dark ages and then heading up again to golden ages. And this happened not only once, but countless times. So this is nothing new. Our soul knows all that because it already experienced it in other star systems, probably. And being a starseed does not mean, or a walk-in soul or whatever, does not mean that you are better or further than anyone else. We're all made of the same stuff. Remember, we're just a thought in Source's mind. So we need a lot of experience in everything you do. Going inside, integrating shadow aspects by doing your inner work without anyone noticing that outside of you maybe, is your contribution to humanity's subconscious, which by that elevates and lifts up and becomes ready for the shift that comes at the end of a great cycle where we are right now. So don't think if what you think or wrote down and dreamt maybe of publishing a book and it didn't happen, it's not for nothing. Just by working on that inside of yourself, this all goes into humanity's subconscious, and by that you're contributing to kind of the uplifting of everyone else, all the others that run around here on this earth and are also a spark of the divine, a soul incarnated in a body. So that about where we come from. And as far as I know, the human form was first created in the Lyran star system by the big cat races, the felines, like the Irma, and when the Dracos kind of attacked Lyra, the Lyran star system, the survivors fled to all over the universe, a lot of them to the Pleiades, which had a hand in the experiment Earth, creating in our genetics certain traits. And a lot of these, talk about Atlantis and Lemuria. These were colonies, and they were worldwide civilizations all around the earth, not just this one island called Atlantis. They had outposts nearly everywhere, and the Lemurians as well, and they lived together with some of their star families, their creators, in the beginning. And so it's really a long journey where we come from, where you come from and I come from. And it might be helpful to know that you have strong connections to the Pleiades, which are into healing very often. That's their main trait. They're interested in healing. Or Arcturian traits, that's the star system that's mostly about spirituality, or any other system, and you can get easily lost into all these kind of traits, and then you think, instead of like this one woman said, I'm a walking soul, you say, I'm a Pleiadian. But what does that help you right here and now? It might only help you in giving you a hint that maybe you are interested in healing and natural methods, like creating your own and growing your own food, or remedies from nature, herbs and teas and stuff like that, or hands-on healing like Reiki. So that is the help that's in there, but right here and now, because it's about the focus. Although it's all parallel lives and not past and future or whatever, but you are focused right here and now. So this is where the music plays. We're all here on earth for the shift, for the transformation, the big change, the rapture, however you want to call that. And it's already happening. It's upon us, whether we know it or not. And as we are a thought in the mind of God, and of course we will return, that's the happy end, so you can stop worrying and relax. There might be turmoil underway, but where we head to is just the best destination ever. Being one again, oneness with Source, coming back home like the lost son, when he found out, oh, I'm sitting in the mud with the pigs, and he just gets up and brushes off the dirt from his clothes and then walks back home. That's it, we're on our way back home. That's where we are going to. And we are co-creators, because being a thought in Creator's mind means we are part of the Creator's mind. That's why we are fully fractals, and that's why we have the ability to create. But being so indoctrinated since thousands and 10,000s of years by all kinds of influences, abusive ones and positive ones, we're very limited in our beliefs, and very often, unfortunately, we fall for the prophetic, prognostic prophesizing that already started in the Bible, shoving ideas, words, pictures, images into our head of, Armageddon, the last battle, or whatever. If you have this idea in your head, then you are likely to create with your divine creator energy exactly that scenario. And this is happening today as well. If I only look at the headlines in YouTube with all this scary and terrifying and horrifying and must know and this and that, there is so much fear mongering, and they're putting into your head this idea of World War III, and people are panicking, and that's exactly what the negative and regressive factions want. They want to keep it in old energy with hierarchy and superiors telling us what to do, what to think, and what not to do, and where not to go, and to feed off of our fear, because that's low vibration energy and that's the only food they can digest. But with the 150 hertz frequency coming from the central sun and going through all the other suns, our whole universe is shifting and lifting up. So we just can't stop that. It's inevitable. It's just a question of time. And what the negative forces can do, the only thing they can do is delay, try to delay, and spread sand into the working wheels of the cosmic clock or machine that's working in cycles. And we're heading towards a bright future, dear ones. Stop panicking. Don't fall for the fear-mongering. I don't believe that this is a prison world. Even the future forecasting remote viewing group, remote viewing that topic, made a short video saying we did not find that this is a prison planet. And although I followed the Rosicrucians with their teachings and the Gnostics and Hermeticism, which the Gnostics as well, like the Rosicrucians, thought this is hell and we have to get the F out of here, you can view this world as a prison, and if you do that, you should be aware what that does to you. As a prisoner, you enter victimhood. Everything happens to you. You are no longer the creator. You think you are no co-creator. You have no ways to change your destiny. That is all wrong, and it's on purpose to keep you trapped in this idea of a prison planet. The Hindu tradition, which still has a lot of knowledge, much more than all the Western traditions, they viewed this as a school for souls, and they came up with the reincarnation cycle, and that you kind of work your way out and higher up by learning your lessons step by step. That leaves it much more open. Then you're more in the position of a disciple than of a prisoner, because feeling in victimhood and viewing this world as a prison makes you a prisoner, and as a prisoner you can only go mad, angry, or depressed and powerless. And I'm about empowering, because my guides they told me that's what's the most important thing. The Elohim also only bring positive messages of empowering and uplifting and reminding you and me and us of our divine nature, that we have it in our hands. And if we are not able to change a stupid thought in our heads as a small beginning by just saying, stop, no, I don't want to think that, and even maybe questioning, why am I thinking that? Is it even my thought? Where does it come from? You know, negative stuff is easy to find out where it comes from. It comes from indoctrination, from dogmatism, from the negative factions that still want to rule this planet, but their rule is over. And we can see it all around. Everything is crumbling and has to crumble. You know, when I came to know about the Trinity in Hinduism, I had no problem with Brahma, the creator, and Vishnu, the conserver, but I had some problems with Shiva, the destroyer, because that to me kind of seemed negative. And now I understand. If the space is kind of totally blocked by something sitting there which is not functioning well, not working well, as the Anunnaki were not so advanced, and more like, if you read the stories about them, you know, they more seem like to be a dysfunctional family, bringing also all their negative traits down to earth. But you can't generalize and say all Anunnaki were bad. You had both, like humans. Not all humans are good or are all bad. It's impossible to be 100% good and to be 100% evil. This is just not possible. So you cannot generalize, and well, all this fear mongering and keeping you in low vibration of fear and panic is to keep up the old system, and kind of the destroying has to happen to free the space for new energy to come in into yourself and build something new, and also into the world, to create new things, new forms of communities, new forms of living with each other or trading. And we don't need money, you know. All the real important stuff you can't buy with money. It's your inner experience, and it's so precious that even $100,000 or euros wouldn't be enough to pay for it. But it's free. It's a gift of Source to all of us. We only have to be open and to strive for it, and kind of walk that way, walk into that direction, and have experiences, learn from them, and don't waste your time with shaming yourself, or yesterday I did so bad, I made a mistake. We only learn from mistakes. It's time that we can learn now from the positive things and don't need kind of the whip all the time to become aware that, oh, that wasn't good. You can do good every minute. You decide, you want, and you create it. You are a co-creator in Source's mind together with all of us. So this is about who are we, where do we come from, and where are we going to? Or who are you, where do you come from, and where do you go to? If you know where you come from, if most of your other lives were about, you know, healing, there's a strong Pleiadian trait. Of course, then you have a lot of positive traits, and you want to build a new world, a better world, a positive world that's good for all of us. That's the fine line between service to self and service to others. You know, the negative always only serve themselves. They're about their own advantage. They don't care about the others. For them, others do not exist. They always want the benefit for themselves. They're unable to serve others. If you become wise, you understand that serving others is serving yourself as well, because you are part of the others. We are not separated. We are all one. Oh, my dear. I hope I haven't forgot anything, and that's all for today. Quite a lot, but there's a lot of nuggets in there, I hope, for some of you at least. I asked Spirit World to help me with this video and give good energy, and as I lately discovered and was told by a very special new energy, a very illuminating energy I came in contact with, they told me what some of you already wrote in the comments. That my voice is so calming for you and makes you feel good. They told me now that there are certain frequencies in my voice that activate your memories or remembrance of who you really are. I didn't know about that, and I'm not going around bragging about that or now creating workshops where I sell activation to you. It's just happening while I speak, and I'm happy that I'm of hopefully good service for all of you by the input I get from Spirit World. And I thank Spirit World, all my guides, all the wonderful energies that work with me, so that I can be useful and of help. And I know whatever I do for you, I do for myself as well. That's why I'm all in for kind of the main trait of what's written in the book Law of One by Ra, who in truth is the energy of Archangel Michael. Only he did not want to show up with that name because the people who channeled that, Don Elkins and the medium Carla Ruckert, they were not so fond about, Christianity and all this stuff about angels and the Bible, but they were much more open to the concept of an energy or consciousness coming from Egypt and naming itself Ra. So that's it. I thank you and I thank Spirit World. Blessings, love and light to you on your soul path. Bye, beautiful souls.